Okay, knowledge over a population. We're going to look at how knowledge over a population actually is power over a population. Right? Not exactly. Knowledge is the first step towards power over a population. Okay, let me just rephrase that. I think that phrase makes sense. If you have knowledge over a population, that means you have power over a population. So the saying goes, knowledge is power, right? Not exactly. Just by knowing things, you won't be able to do things. But if you can put that knowledge into action, into use, then you have power, right? So that's what the saying goes. That's what the meaning of that saying is, right? The essence of that saying. So let's look at knowledge over a population and how it gives people who have knowledge over a population power over that population. So let's look at this population, right? This population, I'm just considering a 1 million standard size population. And I've called this a target audience. If you look at businesses, right? Businesses, when they look at their audience for selling any product, they call it a target audience, right? But essentially what it is a segment of a population of a country. If it's a multinational company who's selling products across multiple geographies, right? Every geography, they will call that, say, a target audience, right? Anyway, but the whole point is target audience means it's a population, a segment of the population. And this population, if you look at a country like small country, I would say not geographically, but in terms of population, Australia is 26.01 million. You'd be surprised. There are certain cities in India that house this much. A city like Bombay is somewhere around, I think, 22 million. All right. But if you look at the population, again, knowledge over a population could also be for a different country, right? For example, USA. Doesn't matter where the population is from. Usually it's from a geographical area. Here I've shown you a country, a small country and a big country. But it might as well be knowledge over the population in a city, right? So, just expand your thinking. This is a big country. You can zoom into a smaller city within that country and you can have knowledge of that population. But again, I'm just kind of generalizing at a high level, conceptual level. We are trying to understand how you can kind of gain knowledge over a population. Think about it, right? Can you know what each and every individual in this country is doing? That'd be quite impossible, I guess. Obviously you could know, but that data would be too much. We could possibly sometime in the future, but the way companies and big organizations kind of do this, they kind of segment it, right? That's the key thing. They segment that population based on similar characteristics. So the people within that population are segmented based on similar characteristics. So here I've kind of drawn 4 buckets, right? These kind of vertical kind of segments with similar characteristic, right? So here, the third one, since you're looking at the population of America, I'm calling her American Julie, right? I've just given a name. But basically what she is, American Julie, is a representation of this bucket of the population, right? So people with similar characteristics. Think of it like stereotyping, right? It is stereotyping in a way, but based on data, based on factual information. I'm not just, it's not an emotional thing I'm doing. I'm not name calling somebody, nothing. Not at that level. I'm looking at very similar characteristic. All right. Does this person have red hair? Okay, red hair. Does this person speak this language? Okay, this language. What? Okay, anyway, we'll have a look at that later. But this grouping people with similar characteristics, there's a name for it, right? There's a word for it. You either call it a persona or a cohort. Cohort is a word that's used a lot in marketing, right? Again, going back to product companies, right? When a company is selling a product, they sell to a certain cohort. They target their marketing material to a particular cohort. And in design, we call this persona. You can call it whatever name you like. You can even call it like a stereotype, right? But at the end of the day, these people have similar characteristics, right? People with similar characteristics. So I've called her American Julie. And what are these characteristics? Again, it depends. I mean, depends on what we are trying to find about Julie, right? I mean, depends on our intention, really. We'll look at that. But let's say Julie's age is between 25 to 30. She works a 9 to 5 job. She's basically a working class. She has an income between 60 to 80K per year. She shops at Amazon. She has a pet dog or a cat. She loves romance movies, etc. I mean, some sort of information we have collected about Julie, right? So now it becomes very easy for us to target this segment of that population, right? This cohort or this persona or the stereotype group. I mean, very simply, it's a group of that population, right? And if you kind of zoom in, right? Again, see, I made a very simplistic assumption of 4 groups, right? Of a population of 336, the whole population of America, right? But there would be lots of different sub variation within it too, right? For example, American Julie could have many sub personas or sub cohorts or sub groups, right? Like Julie A, Julie B, Julie C. I mean, here I've just kind of made it based on their age, right? Gen, whatever, baby boomers, millennials, Gen X, and then Gen Z, right? I mean, that's typically what we are very familiar with. But think of this doesn't have to be just generational info, but very specific to what we are trying to understand about them, right? For example, if I'm trying to sell a book, right? For example, just a book, I want to know what kind of books do all these variations of Julie within this population read, right? Once I have this information, now I can market that exact type of books. For example, if I'm like Amazon Books or something, right? So I can pop those marketing material, marketing collateral targeted very specifically to them. So that's how we kind of learn about Julie, right? Okay. So what do we want to learn about Julie, right? This whole kind of question, what do we want to learn? What's our vision? Is our vision to empower or our vision is to manipulate, right? Good versus bad. What's our motivation as a business, as an organization, as a government, as a whatever, right? As a somebody who has knowledge about that segment of the population, right? Julie. What do we want to learn about Julie? Again, depending on our motivation or being either good or bad, right? We can, any information that we get about her likes and dislikes, we know about her polarity, right? For that segment. Again, I'm calling her, but it's a whole segment. The polarity, if I know that that segment dislikes something, I know how to provoke that person, right? If I'm thinking of a manipulative way, I can incite that polarity. Whereas if I know my motivation is good, right? I want to empower. I know what she likes. I can promote. Maybe she wants to learn something about a subject and further her career, right? Then I can promote some things in the dislike bucket, right? Similarly, I mean, political opinion, again, that's, I think, a polarity portion, right? Humans are usually very polar, as in emotionally charged within these areas. So if my vision is to manipulate, I can kind of, my motivation as being the person or being the body or being that group of people or whoever, right, organization that control that data, know about that data of that population, I can kind of influence or manipulate if my intention is bad, right? I can make that politically charged and then affect their outcomes, really. And again, I'll make another video on this, get into more detail, but I'm sure if you kind of think about this a bit deeper, you would kind of understand. And a very common use case is product preferences, right? Product companies are always want to collect data from you. Like, for example, if you go on a website and you browse, like on a browser, you're browsing for something that you like, and then you go on to some other place, and these big tech companies, they show you the exact pictures of products that you're browsing, right? How do they do that? Because they now know, and they're using it to kind of, I guess, not really manipulate, but they're promoting, right? Yeah, I mean, they're trying to sell it on behalf of the other business and then make a profit. That's what businesses do, right? Product preferences. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what do we want to learn about a group of people would be dependent on our motivation, either good or bad. If our motivation is bad, then we'll try and manipulate using that knowledge of that population. If our motivation is good, we'll try to empower that population with the knowledge that we gain from that population, right? For example, let me give you an example here. If, for example, let's go here. We know that there is Julie and she likes some stuff, right? Why don't I connect her to other people who like similar stuff? That way she can grow, for example. Okay, so this brings us to the next question, right? And the most important question: what is the best data collection tool? What's the best data collection tool? I'm sure it's most of y'all already know it. And by the way, it's also once you kind of collect, it is also the most influential tool that we have in the world, right? So that's digital technology, your phones and your devices, right? The clicks that you do, the information that you get from your screens, right? From these technologies, from these big companies, from these apps, from whatever. So yeah, that's it. Digital technology, most influential and most powerful tool for people who want to know about a population. Anyway, that's it for this short video. Hope you liked it and see you in the next one.